anywhere from like 4 gauge right on down to 10 or even an 8. Or 8, even a 10. It may go a little bit lower than that, but you gotta pay attention. And that's what these are for, if you were to downsize to a smaller wire. However, sometimes you can sneak a heavier wire through there. Doesn't always want to give, however. And because right now it's just going to be temporary, I'm not going to bother worrying about being totally weatherproof. Alright, so I need this, I need that. And now, I don't know how much wire I actually have out there. So I don't know if I have enough to cut it. That's the thing. But I do need something for this side. So let me get a piece of wire for this side. See, if I'm going to end up cutting the other end off, because there's, what you call it, I got to strip this down on both sides anyway, because this one has to go into there you are. Wire doesn't seem to be too good here. Maybe I should take off a little bit more. What's this side look like? This side looks better. I'm going to take off a little more. Let me see if I got a better cutter. These cutters suck. They got to be sharpened. My real cutters are out there. So, okay, we'll use these. If this was going to be permanent, I would use better wire. This one's just dirty, but other than that, that little piece was bad. But I'm going to see how far I have to go here. Because it's only got to get through a couple of days. But if the wire's really tarnished like that, it's not going to give you the amps that you're looking to draw. Still looks like shit though. Alright, I'm not going to use this wire. However, I really didn't want to because this is all put together. But at least I don't have to put that end on. So let's just take it off here. This is probably not going to You know, I kept thinking or saying I need to get another pair of cutters. This stuff cuts best with cable cutters. I'm going to put an end on that so at least it'll be a completed system. Okay, now let's take this. Take that off. I was watching somebody the other day, and to each their own. I mean, everybody has their own way of doing things. But sometimes, you know, it's easier for others to find fault in what you're doing. It's always been that way. It's always been the case. Now, I used to have, and I probably don't have anymore, wrap for this. I strip it down, but then I push it in far enough so I can hopefully grab onto the casing and kind of cut through it a little bit. Otherwise, I would put solder on it first. Okay, good. So we were pretty well set there until I put that on without that. Just like a coax connector, you're going to put your PL259 connector on. Make sure you put on the sleeves first. Wrap this nice and tight again. Just shove it in here nice and tight again. Anyway, I was watching an old ham operator, and he moves a little slower than me, well, a lot slower than me. Sometimes he actually moves in reverse, but he was putting an end on one of these ends. And what he was going through, because he had to have a special tool for each one. He had to have this set of automatic cutters, and then he had to make sure it wasn't this thick of a wire. And then he had to make sure that he had it in the right spot for that gauge, right? And at the right length for that gauge. And when he's doing this, you know, and then when he goes to get the tool, now I'm not knocking that. We are all going to probably end up in that kind of a state, a little bit or not more. However, he finally gets it stripped. Then he decided he wanted to solder it before he put it into the end. So now he's got to get all this stuff together, and he's got one of these little solder wire holders. I have one over there, and he's got these little clips on there with the solder and the wire in it. And now he's trying to get the solder iron onto this little clip. You know, and then he had to get the right crimp tool to do the job. And he didn't want just a regular crimp like I have. He wanted the one that actually fit the size of the tool and the crimp and everything else he was doing. It took him, I'm going to say 20-25 minutes to put that end on. All he needed was a pair of these. And learn how to use your finger. And you can strip just about any size wire you need. Now this came off because I was cutting deep because I wanted to see how the wire was. And I was finding bad wire. But if I lose a strand or two out of 1,000 or better, it's not going to make a difference. Not going to make a difference. Anyhow, I'm wondering, as long as I'm doing this as a temp setup, I don't know if I can make one. Because what I'm thinking about doing is, I don't want to cut too much off that end and try to get it into here. I would rather have a piece coming out like this, but with a connector on it, so I can just put them together. You follow me? And if I had to put a nut and bolt through it, it would be fine. So I could either put one of these on and make another one. Let me go out there and look. Hold on. Where are you? Right, hold on a minute. Let me go see what I got out there for wire. I have enough wire. So I already cut it off. So I can just strip it back a little bit. And you know what? I seen a pair of strippers, and now I don't know where I seen them. A pair of these. And I don't know where the hell I seen them at this point. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this alone. This is going to the battery. The battery wire that came off the battery is going to go into here. And then I can switch it on and off at random. Now, I just checked the battery, and I don't think it's going to come back. I thought it was going to, because when I checked it, once I disconnected it yesterday, it seemed to jump from 6 volts when it was connected. When I disconnected it, it jumped up to 12. Now, I had the charger on it, even though I disconnected it while I was doing all that. But the battery may have been there, but over through the night, it just dropped out. Which I actually expected it to, but when I seen what happened yesterday, I'm thinking, I don't have to worry about it. It seems to be okay. So I'm probably going to have to buy another battery, which kind of sucks, but what are you going to do? I look at it this way. I will solve the problem. It may take me a week on and off to do it. It's costing me a battery, which is about 110 bucks in my time, but that's irrelevant at this point. Little odds and ends, but this stuff is going to come back to me. I mean, so it's not like it's a big deal. If I took it to the dealer, I'd be looking at $1,000 or better. Now, even if I have to put a starter on it, the starters are 100 bucks, and that's on the high side. 54, I found one right here in Branford, but I got to bring the core with me, so I'd have to take this one out first. $54 plus tax. Again, I'm still ahead of the game because I know that the dealer is going to take me to the bank. So, the starter, if it does need a starter, you're looking at 300 bucks plus, and then the labor.